Okay, right. What you're about to hear is not for the faint of heart. This is, with great power comes great responsibility with Monero. But I think everyone's ready. I think you're all finally ready to hear this. I have a little agenda, so I was going to go more in detail to some of these things, but it's some of it is so technical and how it works that it would just take too long. So I'm going to have to skim over some of it. But we'll start off with what is Monero, a little bit of the history and stuff. And then we'll go into like how it works, how do you actually acquire it, and what you can buy and sell with it. Um, so first of all, what is Monero? Well, simply put, it is a privacy-based cryptocurrency. The whole goal of Monero is to essentially facilitate private transactions. So it was originally inspired by this white paper in 2013 called CryptoNote V2, which was written by someone called Nicholas van Saberhagen. And then in 2014, Monero was actually released to the public by just one guy, one user called Thankful for Today. It was released with no pre-mine and no block reward for developers. So in other words, that basically means that the creator who actually released Monero, he didn't mine any himself. So he didn't already like have like 10 Monero, for instance, whilst everyone else had zero. It was just like a completely level playing field. And no block reward for developers. That basically means that when people are, mining Monero, when they're like solving these blocks, essentially, the developers don't get like a kickback from that. So again, it kind of follows this. There's a very like egalitarian kind of theme with Monero, which we'll see throughout this. The development eventually got taken over by the Monero core team. I think this is when in like 2016 or 2017 or something. Basically, Thankful for Today, he was like changing a lot about how Monero worked without like consulting the community. And people were like, fuck this. This like he would do like privacy compromising stuff, and people didn't like that, obviously. And surprisingly, it has the third largest dev team behind Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is kind of surprising because it's a pretty like niche cryptocurrency, really. Not many people actually use it. So how does it work? First of all, I'm going to talk about mining. So the way Monero is mined is proof of work, just like Bitcoin. There are some major differences, but essentially what this means, proof of work means, is that you have a load of computers that are set up to solve these like arbitrarily difficult maths problems. And basically what it boils down to is you're just looking for the right number in order to solve that block. And a block is, a block within the blockchain. You've probably heard this word a lot. And essentially it's like each block is mathematically linked to each other, and all of these blocks store transactions on them. But the one major difference that Monero has, which Bitcoin doesn't have, which is seen as a massive advantage for the Monero community, is that it is ASIC resistant. So if you don't know what ASICs are, an ASIC is an application-specific integrated circuit, and it's essentially a computer that is specifically manufactured, produced to do one task very efficiently, but it can't do anything else. The base. So let's say you want to go and mine Bitcoin, right? You think, today I want to mine Bitcoin. Clueless, absolutely clueless if you want to do this, because ASICs have pretty much entirely taken over Bitcoin mining. And I'll go over why here. So an ASIC, it has by default, because it's made specifically to mine Bitcoin, you will have a higher hash rate and it will be more energy efficient. Whereas if you're using a general purpose computer, you'll have a lower hash rate and it will be less energy efficient, which means that the ASIC is stonks and the normal computer is not stonks. And I'm not talking about like how profitable it is in terms of like how much money you can make on Bitcoin by cashing out, but I'm literally talking about how much block rewards you will get, how much BTC itself you'll earn, when you're mining on ASICs. Yeah, so by default, basically, people who just have normal computers and want to mine Bitcoin, you are at a massive disadvantage. And at this point, ASICs have completely taken over. If you want to mine Bitcoin with a general purpose computer, you'll basically just be wasting energy. You'll be producing a lot of heat and not a lot else. So the reason that Monero is ASIC resistant, the reason they wanted to kind of implement this is because pretty much everyone has a computer. You can get computers for really cheap. Like Everyone has one. You can even mine Monero on like browsers and phones and stuff. Whereas an ASIC, first of all, they're really expensive. I think this one on the left, which is one of like the smaller ones, one of the cheaper models, I think it costs like 2.5 grand or something. And you can only mine Bitcoin on it. You can't do anything else. Whereas a computer, you can buy, if you wanted to buy a computer for mining Monero, you could spend like 600 quid or something to just get like a decent processor, a motherboard, and you could mine Monero somewhat decently on it. Yeah, so the whole point, the reason Monero uses this ASIC resistant kind of way of mining is because it's this whole thing of like this like egalitarian theme, like I was kind of saying. The creators of Bitcoin, the creators of Monero, the developers of Monero, they want everyone to be able to mine Monero somewhat, efficiently. Whereas Bitcoin, it's not even good enough to have like one ASIC now, because a lot of Bitcoin mining is just done in these like massive mining farms that have like hundreds or thousands of the most expensive ASICs. So in short, the reason why Monero takes this ASIC resistant thing is so that everyone can do it. Everyone has a chance of earning Monero. There's also a risk of centralization when you allow ASICs to operate, because most ASICs are only produced by a couple of manufacturers. Most of them are just made by a single manufacturer. And most Bitcoin is mined in, like I said, these massive, massive farms. Like it's not mined by just normal people who they've set up a couple of graphics cards and they want to mine Bitcoin. That's the way it used to work back in the day, like a decade ago. But now you stand no chance. There's also like an additional protection to this ASIC resistance, and that's the fact that Monero undergoes a hard fork every 6 months. So it changes the way it works every 6 months. So you could actually design and produce a Monero ASIC, but after 6 months, you would literally have a useless hunk of metal. You'd have to throw it away because it's an ASIC. It can't do anything else. And if it can't do that and it changes within 6 months, you'd have a completely useless bit of equipment. There's also P2 pool. This is peer-to-peer pool. If you don't know what mining pools are in cryptocurrency, it's just basically when a load of people combine their computing power to work on solving the same block. So you'd have a massively higher hash rate. And basically, when the block is solved, if you get the block reward, it will be the block rewards will be sent out proportionally to whoever like put in the most work, whoever used the most processing power to solve that block. And peer-to pool is like decentralized, so it doesn't rely on a single server. Anyone can start up a P2 pool server, and it means that if one goes down, there's loads of others. It's like really decentralized. A pretty cool idea, actually. So that's mining. Block rewards. So block rewards, like I mentioned, this is basically mining Bitcoin is solving a block. It's basically verifying every transaction within that block. The way this works in Bitcoin is that let's say you have a block reward of 0.2 Bitcoin. I think it's like every 10 years or something, it halves. So you've probably like seen on social media and stuff these Bitcoin halving events. That basically means that the block reward is half of what it used to be like 10 years ago. Like in theory, this is a good idea because it basically means that all Bitcoin can't just be mined in the space of like a year or whatever. But the way Monero does it as an incentive to have people always mining is that it's fixed at 0.6. The reason they do this is because when people are mining Monero, what they're actually doing is not only do they get like a reward by getting new Monero sent to them, but they're basically verifying the blocks. And by verifying a new block, you're also verifying and securing every block before that. So, again, kind of a novel idea. I'm not sure how many cryptocurrencies do that. In Monero, it used to work differently. So they used to have kind of like a curve like this where it would gradually go down and eventually reach zero, kind of like Bitcoin. But they decided to go with this just fixed block reward to keep an incentive to keep the blockchain secure. So we're going to talk about some of the privacy technologies that Monero uses now. This is like the most well-known part about Monero is that it's so private and you pretty much can't trace it. This is what Bitcoin would look like, or a lot of other cryptocurrencies, where you can see the sender, you can see the amount that was sent, and you can see the receiver. But with Monero, you actually can't see any of these. So ring signatures hide the sender. Ring CT, which is in the middle, hides the amount that was sent. and one-time addresses, otherwise known as stealth addresses, hide the receiver of Monero. So we're going to talk about some of the privacy technologies that the IRS really hates. You can actually earn $625,000 if you manage to like compromise some of these privacy technologies. So if anyone wants to have a go later, then by all means. The first privacy feature is that it has a non-public ledger. So if I go back to a Bitcoin comparison again, Bitcoin has a completely public ledger. So you can go to anyone's wallet, you can check any transaction, and you can see how much they have in their wallet. You can see all of their past transactions. You can see how much Bitcoin was sent in those transactions and when and who to. So let's actually go through an example of why this might compromise your security. So this is a Bitcoin wallet address. And in early 2013, the owner of this wallet sent some Bitcoin somewhere. So they sent in total 0.6 BTC. To this address, the one that starts with 1FM, they sent 0.3 BTC. Does anyone want to hazard a guess? What was that? No, not pizza. Anyone want to have a hazard a guess back in 2013? It's controversial. You're on the right lines. I think you might know what it is. It is owned by the Silk Road. One of the wallets owned by the Silk Road. So the kind of problem with this, or like it's seen as a problem from a lot of the Monero crowd, is that you can just see everything. And just imagine for a second that the guy who sent the money for this drug deal, basically, imagine if he had like a public Twitter or like a public like forum account with his real name and like his real profile picture and stuff. Imagine if he like did some art project on this account and said like, donate BTC to me here. And then you go to his wallet and then you can see he at one point sent money to the Silk Road. Like it pretty much completely ruins your privacy. So the way that Monero does it is different. You can't just see the whole blockchain. Essentially, what is happening when you sync with the Monero blockchain is that your private key of your wallet is being used to scan every transaction, and it kind of like unlocks, not sure if decrypt is the right word, but it will essentially reveal transactions that are only relevant to you. So all other transactions that you haven't taken part in, they're completely hidden. You have no way of knowing what happened in those transactions. And this is like seen as a positive from a lot of the Monero crowd because no one can see what you're doing. If you imagine you're one of these like billionaires who's holding like a load of Bitcoin or something, imagine how many like phishing emails they're getting and like scam emails and stuff because people want to hack them to get their Bitcoin because they're like fucking billionaires. But you can't do that with Monero. Stealth addresses. So a stealth address is essentially a one-time wallet address that is created automatically whenever someone sends Monero to you. So someone, this guy on the right, this little fella on the right, he will say, here's my public wallet address. And whoever sends Monero to this guy, automatically what is done is that a stealth address is created. So a stealth address is like mathematically linked to this guy's public address. And instead of storing this guy's public address on the blockchain, his stealth address is recorded. So you can never actually know. There's pretty much no way of knowing because of like public key cryptography, basically, where that was sent to. So yeah, the stealth address is stored on the blockchain, not the actual real public address. Yeah, so unlike in the Silk Road example, no one can see how much you have, no one can see how much you spent or any of your past transactions or anything like that. This is a cool example from the book Mastering Monero. If you want to know like in detail about like how the cryptography works, then definitely look at the book Mastering Monero. But this guy is looking at an art piece. They have a little donation link in Bitcoin or Monero. And on Bitcoin, this guy can go and look like how many past transactions this wallet has been a part of, and they can see their balance and everything. And down here on the Bitcoin side, he's saying like they've already earned so much Bitcoin, like I'm not going to donate. But on the Monero side, because he can't see anything, he's like, oh, whatever, I'll chip in anyway for this cool art. The next one is Ring CT. This is the feature that is used to hide the value, the amount of XMR that was sent. And this is one of the most technical ones, so I won't be able to go into this in too much detail. But essentially, this is an improvement on the old way Monero used to work, which was basically like a kind of Bitcoin coin join thing, where whenever you sent XMR, it would be split up into these specific denominations. So if you sent 12.5 XMR, your transaction would actually be split up into 10, 2, and 0.5. And the reason they did this is because in every transaction, people would be sending the same amount. So you would actually never know. It would have less of a link to who the sender was. This works differently now. Again, with some more cryptographic kind of magic stuff, where basically you can prove that you have enough Monero to send without revealing how much is actually sent. And yeah, if you want to know more in detail about how this works, then you'll have to look this up, because I honestly don't understand it fully either. Ring signatures. So in cryptography, a ring signature is basically where a group signs a message. So if you've ever used like PGP or something, where you can sign a message, you can prove it's you without actually revealing your identity. Ring signatures is a bit like that. So say you have like 4 people in this group, someone can send a message from that group. It's signed by the group in a way that it does not reveal the individual in that group who sent the message. So this is a cool illustration about how it works. So on Bitcoin, you just sign the message or whatever. But in Monero, there are these ring groups where we have a ring group of 4 basically in this image, where we know it was sent from the group, but we don't know which one of these 4 people actually like authorized the transaction, which is pretty cool. Yeah, done through some more crypto stuff. Pretty cool feature. So they used to have a minimum size in Monero. I can't remember what it is exactly, but basically they found out that if they just have a minimum size, the large majority of people will just use the minimum ring size, which counterproductively meant that anyone who uses a larger ring size might compromise their security. So say if like the minimum ring size was 4 or whatever, and you know that you're trying to hunt down some like money laundering gang, and you know that there's 7 of them. If you see a transaction that had a ring group of 7, then you're going to look at those transactions instead of, the other ones. So that's ring signatures. We'll talk now about how you actually get it. This is like basically the hardest part, because it's been taken down, as you'll see, by a lot of exchanges. But the first one is obviously you can mine it just like any other cryptocurrency. You can actually like generate new coins. You can just do this through something called XMRig. It's an open source software solution. It's actually most efficient, like power efficient, weirdly, on CPUs for whatever reason. But yeah, just download it, XMRig, and you can mine yourself some Monero. So the next stage is buying it. Let's say, you're probably thinking, cool, I can just go to Kraken, I can just go to Coinbase. My favorite today, I will buy Monero. Again, clueless, absolutely clueless, because it's been delisted from every popular centralized exchange pretty much, because of its use in money laundering pretty much. So, but these are all know your customer exchanges anyway. Brother. This is Monero. We don't do that here. We don't do KYC. So we want to use some non-KYC solutions, right? And the funny thing is that even the non-KYC exchanges are actually getting shut down, because this was one that was really popular. It was around for ages, and it was called Local Monero, and it shut down really recently. The reason wasn't actually revealed, but it's probably because the creator of Tornado Cash, which was like a cryptocurrency anonymizing mixing service, he got charged and got sent to jail. So I think the creators of Local Monero were like, all right, let's dip now. Like, we've made our bag, let's just get out. So the absolute best option, it's not perfect yet, it's pretty new, but the best option is Haveno. Because the way this works, it's based on something called BISC, which is like a cryptocurrency exchange, a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange. But it's decentralized. It works through Tor, which is already in itself really anonymous, and it doesn't rely on any central server. So you could go now and go to their GitHub and start a Haveno server, and yeah, you can start sort of arbitrating Monero transactions. And again, no KYC, which is exactly what we want. Don't want to give any information away. So this is what it looks like. These screenshots from a website called datora.network, which is a really cool site. It's got a load of like self-hosting guys and all the rest of it. So you connect to Tor, you then connect to the Monero network via Tor, and this is what it looks like. Like I said, it's really new, so there's only one network, which is Havana Rito. That's the most popular one. And yeah, you can filter by payment methods or what currency you're using. And it's really cool. This is definitely the best option, but it's still in the early days. So yeah. The next option is Bitpapper. This is basically the spiritual successor to Local Monero. And whenever you look at listings, whenever you look at vendors, you will actually see in their description, they'll be like veteran Local Monero seller, like 500 Local Monero transactions and things like that. This is really, really easy to use, and it is completely KYC free. You actually don't even need an account to buy Monero on this. But the major downside is that you might get scammed by Gopniks, because this is a Russian-owned website. It looks sketchy as fuck. When I first tried this, I put in like a really small amount to buy. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to lose this money. Like, I'm never going to see it again. But I actually did get the Monero. So I was like, fair enough. Like, you know, it works. So to use this, you need to choose your currency. So pound sterling, your amount, put in 50 there as an example, and your payment method. So I put in PayPal. They do all kinds of like different payment methods. There's obviously kind of an OPSEC failure here with PayPal, because it's going to be like linked to your email. So unless you randomly generate an email, and PayPal will still have your debit card and stuff on record anyway, it's probably not the best way to buy it, really. But anyway, so you put in all that stuff, and then you choose your vendor. There's a few things to focus on here. So all of them have their requirements. This guy, Dove30, shouts out Dove30 if you're watching this. He has you don't need to confirm your phone number, you don't need to have an account, and you don't need to confirm your identity. This one up here is like how much good feedback and stuff they've had. So they've had 25 bits of good feedback and one bad one. So Dove30 seems like a pretty trustworthy guy. This is the like markup. Obviously, they want to sell their Monero at a profit. So he's selling it 35% above the actual price of Monero, essentially. So one thing I didn't talk about is that you can create these things called subaddresses. So from like an OPSEC side of things, from like a human intelligence side of things, if you're using the same wallet address everywhere, then at one point or another, it's going to be linked back to you. But what you can do in Monero is create these subaddresses, which are, I'll just go back one hand, which are, again, linked to your actual primary wallet address. And you can create an infinite amount of these. So all you need to do is click on the create new address thing on the official GUI wallet. It will ask you what you want to call it, and then you'll get this new address, which will be directed back to your wallet. So after this, after you've created your sub address, you can just enter in the amount you want to buy. And then this part in the middle that says withdrawal address, you put that new sub address that you've created. And then this works on an escrow system. So there'll be a specific amount of time where they have to send you the Monero. Otherwise, you can file a dispute. So the way it actually works is when you send the trade request, the Monero that you're requesting will be taken out of their wallet and kept in like a separate escrow account. And then if they don't send it, you can file a dispute. And if you can prove that you sent the money, you still get the XMR. That's if you trust the owners of Bitpapper, which is, you know, a bit dodgy still. But yeah, pretty cool. So after 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, after 10 confirmations on the blockchain, you'll receive your brand new Monero. Which begs the question, what can we actually buy with this? Before that, I'm going to talk about a few things which I didn't go over, which are kind of cool features. Number one is view-only addresses. You can create wallets in Monero where everyone can see the balance, but they can't see anything else. They can't see any of the transactions or anything, and they can't actually authorize transactions. This is kind of cool for if you have like a donation goal or something. So if you're like, I have a donation goal for my charity run of 2 Monero, everyone can see that wallet. So if they see that like, oh, this is 1.1, and then it goes down to like 0.8, it's like, what the fuck? They've spent some of the Monero that I donated. So yeah, pretty cool feature. Public and private nodes. When you use the official wallet, to speed things up, you'll probably want to use a public node. Basically, all this is that it's a public node is a server somewhere that already has the blockchain fully downloaded, so that you don't have to download it, and it just speeds things up. There are like some security issue things here, I guess. Like theoretically, if the public node you connect to has a modified blockchain, which is extremely unlikely, borderline impossible, then that could be like a security flaw, but not really. Proof of transaction. So even though all the transactions and the amount, the sender and receiver and stuff are all private, using a transaction key, you can actually prove to someone that you sent that Monero, which is a pretty cool feature. So what can you actually buy and sell with Monero? What can you actually do with it? And I'm going to open this to the audience again. Bear in mind, this is a private crypto. No one can trace it. What do you think you can buy? Like, such as dark web stuff. What did you say? You said drugs. What did you say? Organs? I was just going to donate to charity. I don't know what everyone is. People are sick in their head here or something. No, just joking. Let's buy some drugs. So, Monero's privacy is like a double-edged sword, because if you're like a journalist or something in like an authoritarian country, you're trying to like receive funds without revealing your identity, then like theoretically it's good for that. I'm not sure that would actually happen in the real world, mind you, but you know, there's a case to be made. This is a .NET drugs market. I'm not going to say what it is, but this market in particular operates exclusively on Monero. You can't use any other cryptocurrency other than Monero. And probably in part because of that, this marketplace has been around for like 4 or 5 years without being taken down. So yeah, you can buy drugs with Monero if you want. I don't condone that, but you can do that. Other things, domain servers and VPNs, sorry. This top left one, Nyala, is basically a domain registrar and like VPS service. It's kind of funny how it works, because they accept Monero first, all right. But basically what Nyala does is they'll buy a domain name on your behalf. So they technically own the domain name, but then they'll give all of the control of it to you. So you can like change DNS records or whatever. So imagine you create a randomly generated email address, a randomly generated password, and you pay with your domain with Monero on Nyala. There is no chance in hell that someone is going to find out you own that domain. So it's kind of funny. Privex is like a VPS provider. You can buy VPSs, virtual private servers, and dedicated servers and stuff from them with Monero. Pretty cool. Molvad is a funny one. Molvad is a VPN that probably everyone has heard of. They actually offer a 10% discount on their VPN access if you pay with Monero. So if you use Molvad, then get yourself a bit of Monero, save a bit of money. This is the Turkish baklava like restaurant or cafe or something that actually accepts Monero. So if you ever find yourself in this bit of Turkey and you're a bit peckish, head in there. This is my official endorsement. This is a locksmith that is based in Southampton. Believe it or not, they genuinely accept Monero as a form of payment, which is epic, which is fucking epic, frankly. There's this market called Monero Market. This is like an escrow kind of scheme again, to like avoid scamming. But you can literally buy anything on here. You can genuinely buy cars with Monero on this website. You can buy like computer parts, you can buy artwork, you can buy literally anything. This is a really funny one, because I don't know why this needs to exist. Monezon is basically a proxy service for buying stuff on Amazon with Monero. So basically what you do is you put your order through, someone will like buy it on your behalf, you send them the Monero, and then they'll post it to you. I don't know what you're buying on Amazon, which needs to be kept that private, but I mean, fuck it, you can do it if you want. This is the last slide now. I don't know how long I've been going, but Monerica is like a directory of stuff you can buy with Monero. And surprisingly, you can literally buy anything. Like I said, you can buy fucking cars with it, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that's it, I think. Yeah, barely scratching the surface. You can go into so much detail about how it technically works and stuff like this, and how you could trace it, perhaps. But yeah, thanks for listening. Any questions?
Monero is Edward Snowden of Bitcoin, Julian Assange.